Hey y'all, excuse me. I'm back for part two of the Kraft-Tex cover, journal cover process, taking you through that. Um, for this particular journal, that we talked about yesterday, and that wasn't quite dry when I stuck that on there. We painted the Kraft-Tex this teal blue, and then I came back and did white as just a real thin coat of gesso on the inside because I want to use this fabric, okay? And then because right now I have black thread in my sewing machine, I'm not going to sew this onto the cover. I'm going to use this gem tack to glue it to the cover, okay? Now I did this cover, okay, with the little girl, and I did stitch her on, and I've added the fabric, and I've stitched around, okay? But I'm going to show you, so I kind of was trying to show you different layers to the process, or different steps to the process without going through each individual one. So we'll cut around that. I did stitch that one on, and then, so I stitched him on, but I have not, and I've attached the fabric here, but I have not stitched around the book because I'm gonna have to let this dry. And realistically, camera wise, I can't take you during the same video over to my sewing machine, but it's really just a straight stitch around. So it's not, and because this is flexible, when you go to stitch it, you can, when you're stitching around, you can turn this around inside your sewing machine, okay? I hope that makes sense. So what I use, you can use several things. What I use is this golden gel mat, which works great. And this was a tip from Michelle. Michelle with one L, and her last name is not coming to me right now. She has a Facebook page and she has a YouTube channel. I'll link her below. But I've almost used all this stuff, y'all, because I use it on a lot of stuff now for covers. But you can use, let's see, you can use fabric tack, okay? And like for a thicker fabric, like that ticking, well, it works great for all of it, but if you don't get it thin, if you don't get a thin enough layer on there, it can come through a thinner fabric. This is a thinner fabric, so I'm going to use the gel medium. But you can also use PVA glue. So either one of these will work. These work great as well. So this is kind of thick. So this, I'm going to do one section at a time. Now what I did was, we painted the cover with gesso, we painted the color, we paint the back cover with gesso. Pick your fabric, if you're going to stitch your image onto the front, pick your image, kind of pick where you're going with your project. Or if you don't care, if you want to, it definitely doesn't have to be color matching, doesn't have to be perfect, just whatever you want to do. And I'm not worried about ironing this flat, because when I start spreading this out with my bone folder, it's going to go flat. And when I cut my fabric, I usually try to give myself 1/4 to a 1/2 inch around, okay? Because once you start laying this, if you don't get it, if you have to pull it back up and put it back down, you don't want to have to do that. I mean, you have some wiggle room. It's not going to stick that fast. So this is kind of thick. So what I do is I'm going to put a bunch of it down like this with, this is a silicone brush. You can get these, I think they're initially like for makeup and stuff like that. So while you can't really see where this is all spreading, I want to make sure that I'm getting it all the way. Yeah, and you really can't see the glue. I want to make sure I get it all the way to the edges and get, a flat layer. And then I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to pull that to the edge, and then I'm just going to kind of push down. And then where there's creases, I'm going to take my bone folder and push this fabric. And you just kind of have to, I'm going to have to pull a little bit onto the fabric. And I just want to make sure that I don't have creases in there. And a little bit thicker fabric is a little bit easier to work with and a little more forgiving when you're doing this. And, you know, if you use a thicker fabric, and the color's not really showing up well on camera. It looks green on camera. My light's off today because it's kind of dark outside. But this is a teal blue polka dot. I think you could see it in the video yesterday. So now I'm going to fold this back. And I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to get a big old glop of glue. And mush it around on here. Try not to get close up to there and get a big old glop of glue on the fabric. I've done that. You just kind of have to wipe it off. But these things work great. I don't know if you can really see me. These things work great because if you use paintbrushes, sometimes the paintbrush is your, if you're using a super inexpensive paintbrush, sometimes the bristles will come off, and you don't want bristles in there. But the PVA glue works, I think, just as well for this. But this glue right here, I have found that it does work. It works really good. And when it dries, you can't see it. You know, dries super clear and dries pretty fast. So you can do this with your fingers like I'm doing. Sometimes with the fabric, it's better just to use your hands. And then that's it. Okay. So now you do want to let it dry before you start bending it, so that it doesn't come up, you know, and buckle a little bit, because it will. So you need to just let it dry. So just leave it alone and let it dry. And then I'm closing my gel up. So I'm just going to flip this over. Now, I am going to glue, where's my image? All right, so I'm going to glue this on here. But I think I'm going to wait until this dries, and then I'm going to stitch around it. And then I'm going to cut this fabric off at the edges, and I'm going to show you that on the other cover that I already did. I'm just going to ink around this with my vintage photo. And these images, all these images, I think I forgot to say, they're all from books. They're all from vintage children's books. Okay. So I'm going to ink around that. And then when I get done, I'm going to come in, you know, and I'm going to come in and kind of do some inking, a little bit of inking on this, and then kind of rub it in. I'll do the edges, and then it'll kind of blend. So it'll be, you know, have that sort of vintage look to it. It won't be quite as bright. It'll tone down that brightness. Okay. So next step's going to be stitch around it. Okay. And then cut the fabric. So that's what I did with this one already. So for this, and I don't always use my pinking shears. For this one, I'm going to cut. See, we got a glare here with this light. on that particular color. My lighting's terrible today, guys. I'm sorry. It's kind of dark outside. But this is what I meant yesterday when I was talking about the satin paint. So this particular paint, okay, so it's called Shimmer Rose, okay? It is a shimmer paint, not the satin paint. So the satin, and you know, me and my ridiculous self, I know some stuff about paints. I just wasn't explaining it very well yesterday. So a satin paint is a paint that you would use in your bathroom or in your kitchen. So it's got that texture in it, and it's a thicker paint so that you can just wipe your walls down. Whereas a flat paint, which you use in a den or a bedroom or whatever, doesn't work that well, and you can't just wipe it down like you can a satin paint. So those other paints are satin paints, but they don't have the shimmer. This has the shimmer in it, okay? I guess that's what I was trying to kind of explain yesterday and didn't do a good job. But I'm just going to cut right along the edge with my pinking shears. Okay. I like having that little bit of fabric peek out. I like that look. If you don't like that look, you certainly don't have to do it like this. You can go right up against the edge with just your regular, you know, scissors or fabric scissors. And it's not going to be perfect. I'm not looking for perfection. This is handmade. I will straighten that up though. I'm not the greatest with the pinking shears, as you can see. I'm kind of making a cluster out of that. Because some of this is going to fray. You know, it's going to fray some too. So I'm going to come a little bit closer down here since I'm... If I hold it up like this. Okay. She's going to come all the way around. Yeah, if you guys are if anybody's looking for perfection, you're on the wrong channel. Because there's none of that here. I don't do a lot of, you know, I don't do a whole lot of measuring except when I have to, you know, make sure I got the book cover the right size and, you know, my spine's the right size and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to really being, you know, a precise sewer or artist or crafter, yeah, that's not me. It's too tedious to me to have to. If it's a project that requires me doing a ton of measuring and stuff, I'm not good at that. Okay, so now we've got the inside done. Okay, and I probably should have let it dry a little bit more, but it's fine. It's gonna be fine. Now you can see where this, so that's where your spine is, okay? But you see how it wants to kind of round. So on the other books, I did come back here and do some stitches here. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna stitch down here and across here again and back up here and show you that. You won't be able to see me sewing, but that's what I'm gonna do. And then show you what it looks like. And I'm just using a straight stitch. You can do the zigzag stitch. You can do whatever stitches you want. Because it's very easy to sew through this stuff on your machine. Got all kinds of stuff in the way over here. Like I said, you can just turn this, Kraft-Tex up. So you can make even bigger journals with it, because you can kind of turn that up, that you want to sew on. because it's so flexible. It's like working with leather, or, fabric, and a lightweight leather too, not a thick leather. So see, once you do, you can do just that one. An additional straight stitch and come down and come back up. Now I could keep going around too. I could do funky stitching around and make it really, change it up. Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff. I can come back down on here with another stitch. I think I did that on mine. No, I didn't. I didn't do that stitching on mine. I did it on this cover. Like, see, I stitched all the way around the book, and then when I added the fabric to this spine, I did like a double stitching, okay, and came all the way around the back and up across the top. You can make it, you can do it however you want to do it. I think with this one, well, I know with this, I'm pretty sure with this one, I'm not going to add the fabric spine. I'm going to do the tabs across. And I don't do that until I actually bind the pages into the journal. So, if you guys want to see, if you want to see like the pages, like, so my next step's going to be to go pull the pages for these, okay? And then, decide what's going in what. Now I've got to finish, got to finish this cover and then the other cover. But then my next step is going to be pull pages, fold my pages up, put the signatures together and all that stuff. And then bind them. And then I will probably come back. My last step will be the embellishing part. So the last step will be putting the pieces, the fabric pieces or fabric washi pieces on here, depending on what I decide to do. I'm thinking I'm definitely going to make some fabric scraps and some buttons down here. Let me know, do you want to see the whole process? Like, do you want to see what pages I pull? Do you want to watch me fold pages? Or would you rather me just pull pages, fold papers, and then show you the binding? Just leave me a comment and let me know like what all you want to see, okay? Because I don't want to bore you guys with folding paper and going through. It's a little hard for me to go through the picking out paper process because I would have to take you all around my room. I could come in and say, okay, here's all the papers I chose, and kind of give you an idea how I put them together or whatever. Anyway, just let me know what you want to see, okay? And I will show you guys. And then, so, because I'm all over the place when I craft, I did want to show you guys some other things that I've been working on. And I can remove this now. And the kind of things that I do when I'm in between projects. And when I can't quite, so like how you get in those modes where your mojo's just not working, okay? Or like you just don't know. Sometimes I just get exhausted from doing, 3 or 4 journals or 5 journals or whatever, and I just don't know what I want to do next. So I'll go through my stuff and just do some little projects, something to kind of get my inspiration going. And because I've been doing so much cleaning, I've had a lot of things that I've like organized, and I'm like, okay, you have all this stuff and you need to stop shopping and you need to shop your own stash. You need to use some of this stuff. So, I'm trying to get the glue all off my hands, y'all. And if you don't like peely glue on your hands, don't use your fingers like I did, because that glue sticks to you pretty bad, and then you have to peel it off your fingers. Anyway, so this is what I've been doing. So, so I have all these pieces from KB and Friends that I've purchased digital images and then fussy cut them out. And she makes it very easy for you because she has sort of the lines, you know. So, and they don't call this, fussy cut is when you cut all the way to the edge. This is another kind of cut. Anyway, so I just took some little pieces. These are some little tags. That was a printable from Cassie Duster Roses. These are original vintage tickets, little printable Denison labels, and then KB and Friend printables and little flashcards. So I just did a bunch of little clusters on the flashcards to make them, you know, tucks and tags. So I did some of those. This is just scraps, floral scraps left over where I just either backed it with, you know, like I put it on a thin piece of chipboard, or I put it, you know, put file folder behind it and stitched around it. So I have all these pieces that I can make tags of and add other little things to if I need those. And then, so I've been working on the readers. So I pulled a lot of pages out of those readers and just made tags out of them. Okay. So I made, oh my God, I don't know how many tags I made, y'all. There's a lot. So I went back and put, so just folded, pretty much folded the book page up around something a little bit sturdier because these pages are thin. So like a file folder or something. And stitched around them, poked a hole, put some washi, fabric washi and a label, some feed sack fabrics, you know, other vintage fabrics that I had. So I made a boatload of those. So some of these will go in like farm journals, you know, random different types of journals. Some of them will go in the journals I'm working on now. So you see, some of these were Alice and Jerry books. So there's Alice and Jerry in a lot of these. And then some smaller tags. Smaller tags. And these are covered with book page, vintage, the plain vintage book page. And just added some other little embellishments to them. So yeah, so now I have a box full. And if you want to see, like if you want to see any of this process, let me know. Look, I have a box full of these tags now, y'all. Do you see this? Do you see this craziness? Yeah. And then I'll make envelopes. So I did a bunch of, just a couple of plain envelopes with some Babar book pages. And then I stitched a ton of these like Joey DeFee envelopes with book pages. This was a quest to use up book pages. So there's sewing book pages, there's recipe book pages. I did some of the big ones, the big book pages. I made some little cluster embellishments with some die cuts from Pretty Little Studio, book pages, you know, Rick Rack, just all kinds of little stuff I had in my stash. And then, and I'm showing you this because I want to know if you want to see any of this. These are pretty simple, pretty straightforward sort of things. These are digitals, digital sewing patterns that I purchased. I can't remember where I got these from. I'll have to look it up, but if you're interested, let me know. So like I just took these like out things and stitched the digital pattern on there and put like a little ticket, some little fabric and buttons on them, and that's it. And it's a tag. That's pretty much how I did those. And then I did a few of these. This is kind of like a flip. So this is a little book page flip. Okay, that I just embellished. And then so the idea is you could just clip it to a page and use it as a journaling spot, or you could put it on your page and glue it on this side and this side, you know, this to a back of a page, this to the other side, and have a tuck and a tuck, that sort of thing. So I did several of those. Or is that, yeah, several of those like that. And this one, I thought these were kind of cool. Some of them I didn't do anything to the back in case you want to just, if you want to glue it to a page or stitch it to a page like this. So you could stitch it here and stitch it here, or glue it here and here and have a tuck and then fold it over like that. You know, and you have journaling on the inside. Anyway, and then all these, I did some of these big cookbook pages. So yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I do. Now I didn't do this all at once. I did not do this all, Rome was not built in a day. I did not do this all in like one day or anything crazy like that. But over the past several months, I've been doing these sort of things so that I'll have a stash of goodies, you know, when I get my journals made. So if you're interested in seeing, you know, how I made any of these things, just let me know, and I'll do a quick video. Wouldn't take long to do some of this. So, but my box is about full. I'm gonna get another box or take some of these out. Okay. Anyhow, I thought I'd ramble about that for a minute and show you that. And like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what else you want to see in the process of the Kraft-Tex journal covers that I'm making. Okay. And I love you guys. I hope you are well. I hope you had a great weekend. See you soon. Bye.